And hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. For today's podcast episode, I have my good friend Charlie with me,
Hello.
and I have A-Town Reviews with me. Say hello to everyone, Alex.
How you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome, man. I'm excited to actually be talking about The Tomorrow War starring Chris Pratt. And this is actually one of those movies that I saw. Charlie and I actually reacted to the trailer for it. We were excited about it. This is actually, to me and Charlie, though, this is one of the best out of the whole entire Amazon Prime movies that we actually had and everything. But basically, what this film's about is about this guy who is Chris. Well, of course, it's Chris Hemsworth's in it, but Chris Pratt. Sorry, I always get the Chris's mixed up.
One of the Chris's.
One of the Chris's.
One's Thor, the other one's Star-Lord.
One of the Marvel Chris's.
Well, now we're getting on the schedule exactly how I wanted it. We ain't screwing up with the names. But anyways, basically this takes place in December of 2022 with a biology teacher and former Green Beret, Dan Foster, who is played by Chris Pratt, to get a job at a research center during the broadcast in the World Cup. That's when these soldiers come out and basically say, hey, look, we need to go on ahead and fight this war that we've been fighting, and if you don't, there's going to be no future for you or your family. So I definitely like the setup for it. I definitely thought that the special effects were really good whenever when we actually see the world tour happening, and then all of a sudden you see the people from the future come in, and then they wind up explaining why they need these people, why they need to recruit other people for this draft. And basically you have people in here that don't even need to belong in this draft. They're just average people fighting this in this futuristic war and everything. And even this one guy who's actually out of shape and things like that, he thought there was going to be basic training. He goes, man, I was actually looking forward to that. And there was no basic training at all. Basically, as soon as you get in there, that's it. There's no basic training. But what I like about this was the horrific, well, this is one of the things that I thought that was entertaining with Chris Pratt, though. When you see him getting strapped to the chair, it kind of reminds me of that Total Recall kind of flavor to it, where he's like, wait, why are you doing this to me? Why are you strapping me down? I need to ask questions. No, we have your blood samples. We have everything you need. Here, next thing you know it, he's in the fighting the war. So it's very fast paced in the first couple of minutes of this film that I really liked about it, because it didn't take a long time to actually set up for anything. Because we see him teaching inside. The very first act is just him teaching biology and stuff like that. And then you have this one kid who's obsessed with volcanoes. And of course, I thought to myself, this is going to play out later on, because that's just pretty much every single science fiction movie basically is a little foreshadowing of what's going to happen in the final act. But what did you guys think of a couple of things that I have mentioned?
I remember when I first saw trailers for it, and I really like Chris Pratt. I'm a superhero fan, so I was like, oh, he's Star-Lord, so I automatically like you. and I loved him in Onward too. So when I saw him in this, I was like, dang, they got Chris Pratt in another awful movie. Because Amazon Prime, they don't have the best record when it comes to their movies. Like, I was disappointed with Without Remorse with Michael B. Jordan. Yeah. And I love him, so I was just like, Chris Pratt, they're doing you dirty. But then when I actually started watching it, one thing I was really surprised about was how emotional Chris Pratt can get. Because I was prepared for him to act like Chris Pratt the whole movie. I'm like, hey, this is a super serious situation, but I'm going to be Chris Pratt. Like, no, he had some depth to him. It got my eyes swelling a little bit, especially scenes with his daughter. I'm like, they were so adorable together. And I was just like, okay, Chris, I see you. I loved it. He was an enjoyable character to me.
Yeah. I didn't care for the trailer. I was very, like, when I first saw the trailer for this, I was not impressed. I mean, on our trailer reactions, I was not impressed with this. And I was like, they're going to force the comedy. The action looks cool, but I think the comedy is going to be forced. So I went into this like, oh, okay. I think I'm like still watching it, but I was really impressed of how better this one was. But when you watch our review for Without Remorse, I kind of was like kind of liking Without Remorse. But after that review, the more I keep thinking about it, the more it kind of sucked. Like I kept making so many references to A Man Apart, which is a Vin Diesel movie of the like kind of had the similar idea. And Man Apart, which is not a great movie, is 10 times better than Without Remorse. And I was bummed too because I loved the writer that wrote Without Remorse, Taylor Sheridan. I'm a huge fan of him because he knows how to write some movies. But Without Remorse was, now come to think, it was crap. So that was an Amazon Prime movie that. And I think the other issue is Amazon Prime's quality in terms of video quality isn't that great too. So I was really concerned with this one being a big budget. But no, this one, like I said, I was really impressed of how decent this one was. It's entertaining. And then like the visuals still looked good. I mean, those monsters looked creepy. But I mean, I like Chris Pratt in it, and he was a likable character. This movie had likable characters, which is a big part of a movie. If you want to have somebody attached to somebody, you need to make them likable. And I thought Chris Pratt was great, and I thought the actress that played his commander in chief, which we'll get into the plot details later on, but I thought she was great. Then again, I was a huge fan of her because she was in one of my favorite shows of all time. She played Sarah Walker in Chuck. I loved Chuck. So I was a huge Chuck Bartowski fan. That show was great on NBC. But she was great in that show, so it's nice seeing her get some more actiony kind of roles, which is nice to see. But no, I thought like the opening was like, there's no comedy. Like you definitely like I agree, Alex. Like you see it, Chris Pratt, like when he didn't get the job, just how depressed he is, and his daughter being the one I'm like trying to like cheer him up. But I mean, I thought the daughter was great. But it just showed the depth of how sad he was, and he was actually scared of the situation about like, honey, I'm not going to get drafted. It's going to be okay. And then he gets drafted while he's at school. But the kid talking about volcanoes, he was one of the highlights of the movie because he was hysterical. He was like, all right, what do you want to talk about? Volcanoes. And I was like, I didn't pick up. I was like, okay, volcanoes are going to happen later on. And then so later in the movie, I'm like, okay. Now they're going to the volcano expert, which is a kid. I'm like, man, I hope they paid him well because he saved the world.
You saved the world, man. Here's a PhD. You're good.
Yeah, but that scene it was intense. Like you kind of feel bad for Chris Pratt and hate the government again because that just makes you hate them because they're forcing these people to go in and them themselves are not doing it because they're wussies.
They're selfish. If you think about it,
and then when it all goes to hell, they're putting the blame on the people they're actually defending you. And when it all goes well, they take credit for something they didn't do jack shit about.
No. And that's another thing too. These future people from the future are very selfish. We're fighting their war for them, and they're not even doing anything for us. It's like, okay, here's a gun. Good luck. If you survive, that's it. Yeah. It's pretty much playing Call of Duty without going through the whole entire tutorial setup.
I mean, come on, we have 8-year-olds that play Call of Duty. Of course, they're going to do. They just want to shoot something. I would know. I play Call of Duty like a lot, and hearing the kids play on that Call of Duty without tutorials, like, oh yeah, woo! It's like, I have to mute them because it's annoying.
Right, it really is. But you know what though? But here's the thing, though. I really like J.K. Simmons in this film, though, too, as his dad. And you don't understand why Chris Pratt doesn't like his dad or anything like that. He said, oh, this is from your dad. He just throws the Christmas card away inside the thing. And then we finding out later on why he has beef with his dad and everything. And then once he actually has that thing on his arm, he goes over to his dad to try and get it off. And everything too. And he starts talking to him about it, and he goes, "Well, there's nothing I can do about it." And then he goes, "Well, let me try this." He ends up taking a bottle of whiskey and just trying to. He goes, "No, that didn't work." And he goes, and he thought he was actually wearing a wire though because of all the questions that Chris Pratt was asking him. He goes, "Are you wearing a wire?" He goes, "No, Sopranos. I'm not wearing a wire." And everything. So I thought the comedic timing with that part was very good. But like you mentioned, though, Alex, here's the thing. I really love the emotional depth to him to this character, though, that Chris Pratt has actually brought because of something new that we haven't seen from him at all. And also, too, it made us care about his daughter even more. Yeah. And everything. So that's another thing I really liked. But, then, like I said before, once we actually get into the whole entire thing where they're all strapped in, and then of course they're picking everybody up by each individual person who's going to jump first, and then we are actually introduced to this other badass guy who's just taking souvenirs without even giving you a reason why he's taking souvenirs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was cool. I wish she was him than he was, because they, battle with the white spike. I was like, oh, cool. I was going to the rest of the movie. He's like, I'm going to leave. And you don't see him till the end. I wanted to see more of him, and I wanted to see a lot less of the chubbier guy that kept talking.
Oh, what, Sam Richardson?
Sam Richardson,
Yeah.
Thank you. I was like, yeah, shut up. Yeah, I hate you already. I was like, I hope you get got by the aliens. I don't want this.
But no, I thought the whole jump sequence was like intense. Like I think that was the only problem was like the picture quality of it was weird. It was like too reddish, orangey, kind of like the sunrise. So it was really hard to see that. So I mean, I don't know if that was Amazon Prime's problem or that was really the visual problem, because that was kind of hard to see. Because I think that's actually how the movie opened. Them like you see Chris Pratt randomly in the pool getting up, and that's when it cuts back to the present day. So I thought that was an interesting opening. But I mean, I think that was the only gripe really I had with so far that I could think of was the visual for that portion was hard to see. But you can feel the brutality of it, of them like, because the government screwed up. Oh man, where things are at. So we sent you to the wrong location while we killed most of our people. Really? Come on. Like people are getting like falling on the side of a railing and like getting hurt and then losing half your team. And then luckily Chris Pratt landed in the pool, because if you didn't land in the pool, you're instant red sauce. Like seriously.
It's like, oh, is that how 70% of the people they send out die? They just drop them in the wrong spot.
Probably.
The aliens are killing.
Probably.
Plot twist: we're killing ourselves. The aliens are just chilling there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but I mean, but what? And then once Chris Pratt takes command, and that's where you just see that his true character. He's a people person. He cares. Like he's the one that helps. Like, and that's what everybody's ripping on it. Like it's like, hey man, you need to start thinking about yourself and stop thinking about other people with you. And then Chris Pratt's like, dude, shut the up. I was a military guy and I had a team. It's a team effort, not just me versus the world. And that's what he's trying to. And it was kind of nice to see one of the other girls, even though she's not in it that long. It was Chloe from the 24 series. It was nice seeing her in this one briefly. I wanted to see her kind of do a little more, but the way the two of them went out was pretty heroic, which was cool. Yep. But that whole sequence of like when Dan took over command of the team and he's speaking to the second in command in the far distance, played by Ivona. I can't pronounce her last name. I'm sorry, but the second in command wants you to find the vials and stuff, and that's when the action starts. And that whole sequence was intense.
It definitely was, especially the part where we actually have a look up at what these alien-like beings are, the white spikes, on how they look. It has like an alien kind of feel to it, mixed in with probably something from The Quiet Place and stuff like that too. I know that a lot of people probably said that or whatever, but that's actually what it looks like. It's a perfect blend of that, and the CGI looked fantastic for that scene. Whenever it's just looking up, and then you all of a sudden you wind up having goosebumps on your arm, because you're like, okay, are these people going to make it? What's going to happen? Because you have this alien-like being that's going to be attacking them soon and everything. And also, too, them shooting up the spikes and everything. I was not expecting it on that kind of level where basically you hit the way that these spikes actually hit you, you go flying because of how fast the impact actually is. But what did you think, though, Alex?
That scene when it like first turns its head to look at them, I didn't think that was CGI. I thought that was an animatronic. And I'm like, oh, they're going to Jurassic Park out with that. Because I was just like, oh, gosh, that's terrifying. And what was really scary for me is when we were shooting at them and they had that shield from their head. And I was like, oh, that's no wonder everyone's dying. They got bullet shields. And I'm like, that would have been nice for the future people to inform them about, like, hey, they have bullet shields on their head. Don't, waste ammo. But these were coolest aliens I've seen in a while. Like, they were legit, and they were jacking everyone up. In that whole opening part, I like the survival horror aspect of it. It was very quiet. Towards the end of the movie, it gets more like waves on waves of aliens. I didn't feel the same terror that I felt in the beginning like that, but they were awesome. I love them.
What about you, Charlie?
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I thought the aliens you actually fear for the team, and these things looked legit. They didn't look like wonky, because I've seen some wonky alien looking creatures when they do it wrong. This one actually they did it right, and the effects. Somebody getting shot with the spike and they go flying. It's like Django Unchained, like kind of like physics right there. Like one bullet sends you flying like down the hallway.
And that's actually something I wasn't expecting, to be honest with you, on how hard that impact actually is. And then also, too, whenever they're in that stairwell, once they finds the vial and everything, and he said, hey, look, I have the vial. Well, you need to protect it at all costs because your life is depending on it. And then you wind up seeing one of his team getting taken by these alien beings, and then Chris Pratt just goes on ahead, gets out a fire axe, and starts going after it and everything to try and save his team and everything. But of course, that person winds up dying, but still he wants to be the hero. He wants to have his whole team there because he's not looking at it from one person's perspective. He's looking at it as a team perspective, a survival perspective and everything, versus how the people from the future actually wants him to act.
Yeah.
And I love how he actually just goes ham on the alien, though, with the axe. And then next thing you know, you see the other people come in and everything, and then they start shooting at the alien and stuff like that. And then, of course, he goes, look, you cannot go on ahead and go for certain limbs. There's actually weak points. The chest and the head are the two weak points that you need to go at, not all the other areas. And so once Chris got wing of that, he started using that to his advantage a little bit more. But that whole entire chase sequence of them coming out, and then all of a sudden you see these white spikes coming into the city, it's like, oh shit, there's a lot more to this than just these inside the building. There's a whole nest of them that's coming in there. It makes you even more scared for them and everything else.
Plus the airstrike that's going to bomb the area. And they're like, we're going to go one way. One area is blocked. And that's what they're telling the commanders, like, you guys need to go. And like that whole sequence is so intense of, are they going to be able to get out of there? And then like when one of the guys gets hurt, and then that's when the two of them like sacrifice themselves. Like, guys, you guys got to go ahead. So they're trying to take out as many of the white spikes as possible while an airstrike epic explosion hits. And I thought this explosion would make Michael Bay like, damn it, I wish I could do something like that.
But still, is there any other thoughts that you want to add to that, though, Alex?
The only thing I might bump ahead a little bit about it, the defense of the aliens. I wish they made the female alien or their queen. It was. I wish they made her a little bit more different because I couldn't quite tell. Oh, it's just another one. I'm just slightly bigger. Kind of like in the Alien movie. No queen. There's a big difference between the queens and the queen male. And this was just like she was slightly larger. I'm like, if they could have made a different or even bigger, much bigger than there, like I think that would have been made him perfect for whole race.
I definitely have to agree with you on that, though, in a sense, because, it did look like all of them were basically the same. But then I started going into it a little bit more whenever he goes into the hole, when Chris Pratt goes into the hole later on. I could see a little bit of a difference, though, on the size of the head and the shape of the alien body to tell that's actually the queen of the alien. But that's just me. Because I paused it for a minute because I was like, okay, am I mixed up here? and everything. But then I saw the size of it, and also too, seeing the struggle with that type of alien versus the struggle that they have with the other ones. I'm like, okay, this is the queen versus the other ones that she has. So I was actually believing in that part and everything because of the size, and also too because of the fact of the struggle that they had with her. But of course, you know, after we wind up seeing that, after the explosion, Chris Pratt wakes up, and next thing you know, his commanding officer is basically telling him, "Hey, look, you need to come with me, so that way we can see about the vitals and everything." And then that's of course when we wind up finding out that that's actually his daughter later on in the future and everything. Yeah, because at first I'm like, wait. I remember having to rewind that. I'm like, did I just hear what I think I just heard? But I really like that aspect of now he has another reason to fight in this war. His daughter now into the future is now depending on him, just like how the daughter of the past is trying to depend on him though too. Yeah. So now you have two conflicts going together where it's like, okay, this is no longer about me trying to prevent this war. Now it's me having to fight for my daughter on this level and everything.
That was a great twist. I didn't see that one coming. I was like, plus, and then so the people that are actually volunteering or not forced to volunteer, they're only there for 7 days. So I just wanted to bring that up. So Chris Pratt's only got so much time left in the future before he's going back to his present day. So there's a little of that. So there's a lot of that. That's why I think on his bracelet, if they destroy the bracelet, he cannot get back. So that's why how vital the bracelet is for him to travel back. But yeah, I thought that was like like before he meets up with the commander, the one guy, the one that collects souvenirs, he's just trashing on Chris Pratt. He's like, you shouldn't have left your team there. I lost a bunch of my men too. I'm like, wow, I didn't know that guy cared. Because seriously, you did. You just took souvenirs. Like you're just doing it just for the sake of fighting, not for the sake of survival. Mm-hmm. Like. And I mean that's why I kind of didn't care for his character that much until maybe the end, but it's just like that's why I liked Chris Pratt so much, and I kind of like Sam Richardson because I'm rooting for him. You know, he's a normal guy that's put in a not so normal position, and I kind of wanted him to survive. So the two of them got separated. They're going somewhere else, like another deployment, while Chris Pratt is staying with his daughter. But I agree, John. Once I heard that, I'm like, wait, what? And that's when you find out it's his daughter. And then and just a lot of moments before, like when all the mayhem has stopped, between the two of them, like you definitely see the chemistry between the two of them because he really cares about his daughter. And this her telling the situation of how Chris Pratt dies, because he was always wondering, wait a minute, how do I die? When do I die? Like, because like that's what the douchey government people or whatever too told him before, you die in this year. I'm like, wait, he's like, wait, what? And they're not telling him jack anything. I'm like, hey, you're forcing him to do this war. It's called communication. It's a two-way street. You might be able to win that war a little bit, or maybe like bring so many more people home if you actually communicate it well. Well, if not, that's on you. It's your bad. Too bad. But Chris Pratt deserves everything because he went to war for you guys. He was a Green Beret, and yet you're treating him like scum. Like, come on. But no, but it's very. It was a really like Chris Pratt, and then Yvonne, his daughter they're great in this movie. Like the two of them, like they definitely had chemistry, but you felt the emotion when her describing about seeing the last image of her, like she saw of Chris Pratt as an adult was him in the ICU trying to get resuscitated. And that hit really close to home for me.
No, definitely. I also really like how the relationship between him and his future daughter, the relationship between him and his dad, like comes full circle because he hated his dad for the same reason that his daughter hated him.
Yeah.
In the future. So in a way, he kind of see, oh, well, I was going through the same stuff that my dad was going through. Maybe, I want my daughter to forgive me, so I want her forgiveness. Maybe I should start doing the same for my dad. I really like that part because I was like, oh, like that. Around that scene when he was talking about that with his father, I was like, okay, Chris Pratt, you There's more to you than meets the eye. It was beautiful to me. I love that part.
You see, I didn't think about that, to be honest with you, where the daughter's hating on him the same way that he hates his father because his father walked out on him. And now so that's actually a good call, Alex. I didn't think about that, to be honest with you. I definitely love that struggle even more now that you mentioned it and everything too. And it also talks about the consequences of his actions and everything too, and making him like, really? I did that? There's no way I would do that. There's no way I would leave you. And the emotion that he brought to that whole entire line. I would never do that to you. I love you. There's no way I would do that to you. And everything. And just the pain and the emotion of knowing that he walked out on his daughter and seeing her being an adult now. And she recruited him because she knew that he was the best, not because he was that was her father, but because she knew that he could get the job done. And that's what she tells him. I did not recruit you because of the fact that you're my father. I recruited you because of the fact that you can get this job done. And I'm counting on you to get this job done. So that way we can get the vitals in. You're right. So next thing you know, they wind up going where the queen alien is and everything. They do this whole entire drop where basically this alien is living in this hole and everything. And basically the whole entire scientific team, the scientist team, is having a hard time trying to take this alien down and everything. And she's trying to protect her father, but really, Dan is trying to protect her, so they're both trying to protect each other. So I definitely like the father and daughter dynamic between them. And so finally he realizes that his daughter's having trouble, so he goes down there, starts shooting all the other white spikes and everything too, because they're coming at them inside that hole. And so he's shooting as he's gliding down off that rope. You're seeing him take down all these others. And I really like the action sequence within that. And then also, too, then you see Dan. He goes on ahead. He's trying to help her out. She goes, "What the hell are you doing?" "I'm trying to help you." He goes, "I don't need your help." Well, he winds up making the alien stab herself with her own spike in order to weaken her. And then they shoved her into the cage. And then after that, there's even more of a struggle, because of the fact that, number one, she's still trying to tear that cage apart. Then you also have these white spikes that are coming in. Right. So, and also, too, I loved how these white stripes, the spikes can actually jump so high, trying to take out these helicopter carriers. I know that you wanted to say something, Alex, so I'm sorry about that.
No, good. I was just saying, didn't they glide, too, towards, they, schooled it? Am I tripping?
They might have. It's been a while since I've seen it.
I remember seeing that for a split second. I was like, did they just fly? And just start looking out. I'm like, oh, everyone's dead. Fly. That was an intense scene. I loved it.
I did too. It just shows the intensity of it.
Right. This movie did a good job of when they had dealing with multiple tones and genres all at once. We had the horror aspect, which was great. You had the drama aspect. And now you have the flat out crazy batshit action, and that scene when Chris Pratt riding down the helicopter like that, just shooting he's channeling his inner Stallone or somebody like that, and it's it's kind of cool to see Chris Pratt actually have that range, which is kind of cool. Instead of actually him thinking with his head and actually going with the plan, not thinking, hey, not pulling a Star-Lord from Infinity Wars and thinking about and felt ruining the plan because he was in love with Gamora. So he's actually thinking with his head this time instead of thinking somewhere else. But so actually, it's nice to see him actually follow a plan, and everybody's not bashing him for it, giving him death threats for what Star-Lord did. I'm like, man, people are taking this too seriously. But anyway, but yeah, I thought that sequence was great. And then them escaping on the tank, where you see his daughter, the daughter's a badass. There's no denying that. The daughter's a badass. Her channeler and her Stallone on the turret, taking out the white spikes while they're trying to escape with the queen. I thought that was a really cool. The effects were really there. You definitely can tell there's CGI. But it's not CGI where it's it's gonna ruin the whole scene. It blended in well. Like
it's CGI for a purpose.
For a purpose, yeah. Like you can tell when it's bad CGI, it's bad CGI, and there's no getting past that. That ruins the whole scene. This CGI wasn't bad. It fit the purpose for it because there's no way they can do this realistically. Absolutely no way. That's the power of CGI. Like to do something that you can't do and realistically. Does it take away from the experience a little bit? Sure, but this one it didn't, and that's obviously that means it's good CGI. Yeah. Anything else you want to mention there, Alex, on that sequence?
No, that pretty much covered it.
All right. Yeah, and then so after they got the queen, they're at this new base, and it's actually visually it was a really cool looking base on the ocean. Like I just knew deep down something bad's gonna happen to this base because it's a sci-fi movie because always something bad happens on a base.
I'm getting fine battle vibes here.
But yeah. So anyway, the base gets that. So anyway, like while Dan's like trying to he's trying to rebuild the relationship between him and his future daughter, an adult daughter. Like you can definitely tell Chris Pratt's character is trying, and he's like I'm not leaving you. Like in 7 days you're gone, and then because I'm gonna have to give you the vial. And then I need you to come out. And he goes, once I do that, I'm coming back. Like I am not leaving my daughter, and that shows you how much he cares for her. Like he's not going to leave her again, and that's what I really liked about his character. He doesn't come off as a dick. That's a good thing.
That's what I like. That's like you said. That's why I appreciate his character so much. He's like, I care about you. I want to come back for you. I want to help you figure out a reason why this alien is actually having a hard time dying. Why is it immune to everything? Even though they don't explain why they're immune to every single thing that they're trying to hit it with, I have some speculation as to maybe number one, it was frozen underneath the fact of a volcano, and it was also frozen and they were thawing out. So therefore, maybe the immunity is a lot more higher. But that's just me speculating on it. But what did you guys think?
I thought the part was weird because they said that the males would die easily from this toxin they're developing, but like the female would. So I was just confused. I was like, okay, why are you using toxin on the male still? You know, if they die so easy from it, it's dwindling down to manageable numbers. Like I'd rather deal with one or two queens. We just know of the one queen. And thousands of the like I understand they wanted to get them all in one shot, but it was make it easy for yourself. That part was confusing for me.
I didn't really have any theories. I was just watching it for what it was. I didn't really pick up on anything. It kind of because if I go into the conspiracy theories, it kind of like if it didn't go around, I probably would have loosened my effect for it or my my enjoyment for it. Like I didn't really think of anything. I was just mainly I was watching it for watching, so I didn't pick up on anything on the on my first viewing of this. That's the only viewing I've seen of it. But I didn't pick up on anything about didn't think about that, didn't think about why they didn't work. Like, I was just watching it for watching it. So I didn't have any theories on it.
All right. So another thing though too is, and finally after working on the vial and everything else, they finally figured out a way to go ahead and kill the species and everything. But of course, the queen winds up waking up, and then they're also on this oil tanker though too. That's also another thing that we forgot to mention at the Dominican Republic, everything too. So they're actually on that oil rig
in the middle of the water. Yeah, they're in a like huge oceany area. Like I mentioned, it was in an ocean area like earlier on, and of course, you know, it's a sci-fi movie. The base was always going to get overrun. Like them capturing the queen. That was kind of like, they kind of realized, damn, this is too easy. Why'd she give up that? Like, she was fighting, but she was doing it because they obviously had a tracker in her or some sort of way the aliens were able to figure out where she was. And lo and behold, the white spikes, they all show up at the base and they overrun it. because of course nothing can be easy.
I agree. To me, that was the most intense thing to actually see. Then, of course, Chris Pratt and that Dan is over there watching his daughter Six and everything with basically their backs are up against each other and trying to take down these white spikes. And here's the thing: you can actually tell though that she knows that she's gonna die. She, for some reason or another, you can tell in her facial expressions. It's like, look, Dad, I know that I'm in my past and everything, I'm still alive, but over here in this universe, I'm gonna die, and there's nothing they can do to prevent that. And that's what the pain and the emotion I saw in her eyes. Because look, you're gonna have to let me go. I can't let you go. You're my daughter. I can't. And that pain, once again, Alex, the pain and the emotion with that was just spot on.
I'll lie. I said a tear came out. Was just as soon as I saw that skit, I was like, I knew she was gonna go, but it was just like my eyes were like, no, start crying. It's that. I was like, at least little girl back in time. But.
I actually didn't think she was gonna die. Honestly, I didn't have any inclination about who was gonna live, who was gonna die. I was like, I was hoping she was gonna survive, but it was really. It's kind of like that was a really sad moment when Chris Pratt had to let her go. Like he had to let her go because in order for him to save the future, he had his time was up. So he had to get to the specific location to transport back to the present. So that's what made the scene so intense. Not only is he trying to protect his daughter, but hold on to the vials and stay alive to get back to the present, so they can manufacture something. But that scene was intense, and it was really sad to see him witness his future adult daughter, dying right in front of his eyes, and there's not a thing he could have done to save her. And that's why that scene is just so it's emotional, and it works well because the two characters care for each other. It was like, if we did a reversal, like, I'm just going to throw The Notebook because I can. If it was Rachel McAdams and Ryan Gosling would just let her die easily. Easily. The two of them didn't care for each other. I said what I said. If you want, listen to our review for The Notebook, because there's reasons why I go off on that. But yeah, if it was other two characters or if it was Leo and Kate Winslet would have let Leo die again. For no reason.
I can't save you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm sorry. It is worse.
There's nothing I could have done.
Like, oh, I'm sorry. There's enough piece of wood for you to survive on, but I gotta care about myself. I gotta care. So I'm gonna let you drown. No,
like,
if it was anybody else,
Jack, bye.
Why?
That picture of me looked awful. Get off.
Right.
Yeah. Pretty much, like remember when I get fat and old? Okay, bye. Whatever. But if it was anybody else, I don't think that scene would have worked, because if the person didn't really care for each other, but no, like, those are the two examples I can think of pretty vividly that I know that they would take themselves over that. I'm like, okay, sorry, I can't save you. Bye.
But yeah, I definitely have to agree with you. The pain and the emotion on that, and then of course him waking up and he's actually holding on to the vitals. No, he's like, no, I can't. I have to take this to the main person. And then they're like, well, I have some bad news. What? Those vitals are no longer needed anymore. We can't even do time jump at all. Our whole entire computer system's down. So thank you for trying, though.
Yeah, that's the government screwing off. Well, another reason because the base got overrun. Like they're the area where they they're able to teleport them from one world to another. That place got destroyed by the white spikes. So that one you kind of like, okay, you can't blame the government on this one, but I don't care. I'm blaming you anyway because you did that. Because your stupidity and your lack of training, your lack of communication. You weren't preparing these people that you're just that. And I'm like, I'm surprised you like the stock market for body bags didn't go up because you're making money over people's deaths.
But but yeah, then
it's the truth.
I think you broke Alex.
Yeah, I'm just picturing a guy at a body bag store. It's just like, like I'm feeding my family, but sometimes it's depressing being in business. Oh, it must be the holidays. That's where I'm going.
Well, happy holidays, sir. There you go.
I'm sorry. It's kind of the kids for me. I mean, that's essentially the government set them to fail. I mean, it's right. State the obvious.
Exactly. And then, Dan is not taking no for an answer. So what does he do? He starts researching about Russia, about when the ice is going to melt and stuff like that. And he goes, and then I like how Charlie just looks at him, and then also the other crew member. He's like, do you know anyone that specializes in volcanoes? He goes, I know the person. And then the kid says this. He goes, I've been waiting for this for my whole entire life. Like he's been listening to Phil Collins in the air tonight, and he knew that this was the right time for him to come out. So
before we get to that part, I kind of like how Chris Pratt was able to do is like when him back with his family, and this how he spends the night in his daughter's room. This can't stop. And then his wife was the one that was like, that's when Chris Pratt was telling her the story of what really happened about, I saw our daughter in the future and I watched her die right in front of me. And then that's when the wife is telling him about, like, she's pretty smart too. I mean, I gotta correct, cause I'm not a huge fan of her, cause some of the roles she's been in, I think her name is Betty Gilpin. Some of the stuff I've seen her in, I didn't really care for her character. I actually kind of liked her in this one because she's right there to help out Chris Pratt and like give him and she's figuring out where did these guys originate at, like where was the she's nailing facts, and that's what leads him to go to Charlie, who's work at as some sort of like science area, like data center. And that's what helped Chris Pratt get on that route to the Russians and ice and all that stuff.
Right. And then they go into the whole entire computer generation where it's like, okay, so show me what it's like in 2023. Show me when it's like this. And then show me what it's like now. And then, of course, that's when we find out that these aliens are actually amongst us in 2022, and they can go on ahead and kill them before that part of the future happens. And there's a chance for him to save his daughter and everything. Mm-hmm. And of course, that's when they go on ahead and J.K. Simmons, they call up J.K. Simmons and everything.
They go rogue. They go rogue. The grid because the government doesn't believe them.
Right.
Of course.
And the government goes, no, that mission's over with and everything. We're not wasting your time anytime. Right.
Of course.
So now it's up to them to go ahead and go to Russia, to this ice glacier pretty much in the snowstorm to try and look for this alien. And I like how they track it and stuff like that too, with the magnets and stuff like that to indicate that there's like an alien ship underneath it. So I definitely love that. But I'm going to let Alex talk a little bit though too, so the way he can get his points out on the stuff that he liked about a couple of the scenes that we talked about.
Yeah, that whole scene where he's like just trying to pinpoint the location of the aliens, that was very exciting. At this point, I was starting to realize, like, oh wow, this movie is actually pretty long, because I thought it was over by the time he got back with the vials. I was like, oh, that's the end of the movie, and it's like, no, we need to find him. I'm like, oh, okay, let's go. I just felt like I was on a roller coaster, and they were like, hey, there's no one else in line. You want to go again? I'm like, okay. It just took off, and I thought it was funny how Dan always knew a guy. Like, hey, we need this type of person. He's like, I know. Hey, we need someone to fly a plane. I know again. So I was like, that's pretty convenient. But the whole trek to them, like finding the aliens and then actually getting into that spaceship, I thought that was really cool. And I liked how they teased a little, like a possibility of a sequel. It's like, oh, these aren't the aliens that were under attack by, like when they found the corpses of other aliens. So I was like, oh, were they brought here on purpose? Was it an accident? You know, all these questions popped up. I was like, okay, the goosebumps I got from like the beginning of the movie when they first met the white spikes, that was starting to come back when they're going through the corridors and then they see all the unhatched white spikes, the thousands of them. I was like, no, they're gonna die earlier now.
It has that very alien quality to that, though, to be honest with you, especially when they land in that bunker and everything, too. And also, too, whenever they said, though, I thought it was like other aliens, basically what they're doing is they don't mean to land here. I'm thinking that they were probably at war with another planet, and therefore that's how they came down. It just so happens to be that they froze. So I'm thinking on that line. But if that's the route that they're going to take, I'm all for a sequel on that if they go on ahead and go down that route. But, I definitely like the whole entire alien type of vibe to it, because then you see this clear orange kind of flavor to it where you have these aliens in their cocoon and now they have to try to inject the needles into them and everything. I was scared out of my mind. I'm not going to lie. I was like on the edge of my seat on that part, because I'm like, okay, what's gonna be the cause and the effect of this for them killing them, because it's gonna alert all the others and everything too. So there's that danger part of that aspect and everything. And then of course you also have Charlie that's up there with J.K. Simmons doing the sniping with him and things like that. And I thought that was really good. And also J.K. Simmons looks at him and goes, "You mean to tell me you served?" He goes, "Yeah, I did." But I just thought the comedic timing between J.K. Simmons and Charlie was really good. But even whenever the part where he goes, "Okay, conspiracy Santa," that was my favorite one.
They had good chemistry. I was like, I'm for this.
Me too.
I don't want for the sequel. I don't want them to do the trope like, okay, like the aliens they're gone. Let's build a town on top of them. Like, I don't want them to go the whole aliens route. Like, oh, okay, there's a ship, but there's a bunch of aliens here. We're gonna build a town on top of this, and that's why they have multiple of them. So, because we saw the ship blow up, we didn't necessarily see if all of them blew up or not, because it's not necessarily fire that kills them, or I don't know. I mean, there's so much. We all we saw was after
one ship, pretty much.
One ship. So again, I don't know how they'll do it. Like, I mean, that can be the sequel, but I don't see how they're gonna do it if they're calling it Tomorrow War 2 if they can't go back into the future, because his daughter is dead, and that's why I was like, during our news segment last week or on Friday we did, John, about how, like you said, the whole cast is coming back, and I'm like, I don't see how, because most of them are dead. The only ones that are Chris Pratt's family. Chris Pratt, Charlie, and J.K. Simmons. They're really the only ones left alive. Because everybody else is dead. And it's like, and we definitely saw his adult daughter die. I don't know how, unless this version of the future that they fixed, and that's changed how she still exists. Again, I don't know. It's just too sci-fi for me to think about the conspiracy. How
I love it though. Sci-fi stuff.
I can't do that. I just
can't. Like, how I'm like really geeky when it comes down to Cobra Kai with the conspiracy lines and stuff like that. With that meme, I'm like that whenever it comes down to sci-fi and everything too, because I'll go on ahead and say, okay, this line is connected to this line, and before you know it, I have a bunch of red lines with photos on it. So
I did like the kill. I think, like I said, I think that's what I know. This scene would have had a huge pop in a theater. Was the scene when Charlie took out the chainsaw and he killed that aliens like that, and the guts and all over him. Like his first kill. They said, "Are you going to kill somebody today? Like kill an alien today?" And he doesn't use a gun, but he uses a bone saw cutter or whatever to kill the alien.
Which we wish that we could have actually seen that in War of the Dead, that Zack Snyder film that we reviewed.
Oh yeah. Like that bone saw looked like the same one. That one should have been used more in Army of the Dead.
Right.
That one was like the coolest weapon ever, and you don't use it.
This chainsaw here, it's gonna be used to open a door.
Yeah. Oh. And you see him use it once in the very montage opening. Like that was so depressing not see that weapon used. That was one of the downers in for Army of the Dead. Then again,
but for this though, it worked perfect though. To be honest,
and this one it worked because he actually used the damn thing.
Yeah.
Right.
I got more respect for his character after that. I was like, okay, that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because remember, he also said he hid, like because he goes, I can't do this war because I hid, so therefore I'm a coward and everything. But then he winds up redeeming himself with that kill, because if he didn't do that, J.K. Simmons would have died, because that alien was getting ready to rip through him, and I thought for sure J.K. Simmons was going to be a goner right then and there, because that's usually the cliche thing of something happening, right? Where we wind up seeing a character doing something stupid that he shouldn't be doing, not paying attention. Next thing you know, it goes after the main person that's the sniper, and that's usually what happens. But it didn't happen this go around, which I was really happy they didn't go down that cliche rabbit hole.
No.
And then at that point, though, too, you see the other guy who we winded up seeing taking souvenirs, and he winds up sacrificing himself and everything, so that way no more of the white spikes would actually come after him. Blows himself up while Chris Pratt, Dan, is running out of the ship, and then at the same time, here comes the big bad queen alien that we had before, and she gives them hell. I'm not gonna lie, I'm like, Dan is shooting this thing with everything he has, and it's not dying. It's like that final boss that you have in a video game where it just won't die. And yes, I'm talking about Evil Within 2. But yeah. But what about you guys? Right. Exactly.
I gotta go to work. Die.
I mean, that's literally what Chris Pratt says. Die. And J.K. Simmons was like, I thought he was gonna. I thought when he sacrificed himself, I thought he was gonna die right then. And then Chris Pratt flat out spears the monster just to distract him. That was a cool moment for Chris.
No,
Pratt.
We need him for the sequel. Get away.
Right. And I liked how J.K. Simmons just looks at him. So you told him to die? He goes, yeah. He goes,
is the queen dead? I don't know. I hope it's dead, because I think he injected him with injected her with the virus and then slit her throat, and thrown off the cliff. But
she
exploded.
Yeah, she exploded. Okay. Because that seemed to happen so fast. I didn't know if she died, because again, this is sci-fi until you see a body in sci-fi, and then, well.
Yeah, this time and everything, it disintegrated and everything too as she hit the snow and everything. So okay. But still, it was terrorizing too, because you're thinking, once again, J.K. Simmons is going to die and everything too. But instead, it winds up being, I'm happy the way it ended, to be honest with you. And the 2.5 hours, I didn't really feel it until, like Alex said, whenever Chris has the vitals in his hand still. And I'm like, okay, so we're going to continue to do this. Okay, I'm good. I
think it was a lot less time than that. I think it was only...
It was 2 hours and 20 minutes.
It was 2 hours and 12 minutes, I think.
That sounds right.
Actually, it was 138, so it was about 2 hours and 18. So yeah, so it was almost close to 2 hours and 20 minutes. But yeah, I mean, it didn't feel like that long at all.
No,
it went pretty fast. But that whole sequence of J.K. Simmons, you think he's gonna go and he doesn't. This reminds me of the Rock Hercules movie about the Ian McShane character. He's the foretelling. He's like the wise old guy. He's like, hey man, I've seen the vision of my future. I'm going down in a fiery blaze. So every time you see him, this is my moment. He's standing there in the moment, and then all of a sudden you see the Rock manhandle the arrow, and he goes, "What?" Or he just grabs the arrow. He's like, "Yo, that was my moment." Moment saved, or whatever. It's just it was like that. I mean, that was if you haven't seen that Rock Hercules movie, that actually was entertaining. It was a lot better than the other movie that came out in January of Kellen Lutz. I mean, the battle sequences are just really, really good for that. But it just doesn't remind me of that sequence. And it's the Ian McShane. He's so typecast, but it's a great typecast because he's the wise old gentleman. He's like, hey man, I told you, I've seen a vision. I'm going to die. and he doesn't go out and play. He's like, "Hey, you ruined my moment." You're welcome.
But
and then the government takes credit for this. Sorry.
Right.
Again, of course.
Like, that was the most realistic thing about this movie. Is just how crappy the government was.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much.
I was like, oh, they're mistreating all the people that serve the country. Oh, that sounds about right.
Sounds about normal as you can get.
Oh, we told them they couldn't do it. They did it anyway. Let's just take credit for it. Yeah, like, and we're not going to give credit to the guys that actually saved our A's because we screwed up big time. But we need to cover that up. Like, the mission's success. Okay, sure.
And then, of course, they wind up saying, "Well, I knew that they were there all along. I knew that they were there." I'm like, "You were such a douchebag."
I wanted to punch him.
He was such a ball bag, I swear. I wanted to actually deck him, though, to be honest with you. But then I liked how Dan winds up explaining. He goes, "I never once told my daughter about the events that happen in the future. Because now she's alive and now she has a future. So therefore, I don't have a reason to tell her anything."
Yeah,
that gave me goosebumps and chills just knowing that the sincerity of that quote from him. It doesn't feel like Chris Pratt. It felt like Dan, and that's something that I appreciated a lot from Chris.
Yeah.
So, what's everyone's final thoughts as far as this movie goes?
You can go ahead, Alex.
Because after this came out, I kept hearing like, oh, they're planning a sequel, and I'm just thinking of like, oh, well, what could they possibly do? Like, they can't do time travel because the time machine is broken. So, would it involve them like going out into space and trying to find the home planet of the white spikes and maybe take a war to them just so they don't have a chance to come back? Like, if that would be a sequel, that would be something I'm interested in. I'm kind of annoyed with aliens invading Earth. I would like to see us go to a planet and whoop some booty from time to time. I mean, it might not be the best outcome for us, but that's where I can see a sequel going. Like, what do you guys think?
I could see it being present day. Sort of how it ended. It's the present day, and they have to fight for their future. I mean, I don't know. I don't think they can do Tomorrow War if the time machine stopped working. And
the day after Tomorrow War.
I don't know. I mean, again, I don't know how they would do it. Like, I mean, like, again, I was a little shocked when I found out there's a sequel to this because, like, I thought this one ended fine. There's no need. It wrapped it up just fine. No need for a sequel. I think this is a little more too much like, oh, we need to hop on this like right away. Like, let's make a sequel to Wonder Woman after the second one wasn't great. Like, they're like, we'll see. I'm like, maybe you guys need to wait because, like I said, I mean, and then like, and because I was like, once I heard the reviews for this, I was like, wow, people are actually hating on this, and I read some decent stuff, so I watched it for myself, and it's not as bad as people were thinking. Like John and I did that movie Infinite. We reviewed that one on Paramount Plus, and that movie was getting crapped on by critics for no reason. For a guy that, and then I was going off in my review on Facebook about the critics about them bashing something because they misinterpret what it was. I'm like, really? This is a summer movie. Of course, this stuff's gonna happen. Like these summer blockbuster, like no plot, big action stuff is supposed to happen. Right. What do you expect? Is Pride and Prejudice? No. Like, I mean, it's just like, I mean, critics are just so reactionary, and it's just like stuff, they're bashing stuff that shouldn't be deserved. Like, the movies that should be bashed is you should be bashing Warner Brothers for making a sequel to a movie that most people didn't want for Space Jam. Nobody want, like, I mean, like, that movie's gonna be garbage.
Right.
Sorry. John, like if you're expecting a friendly review from John and I this weekend on Space Jam, the new Legacy, not happening. No, like you're kind of ruining the Matrix for me by having them do the Matrix stunt in Space Jam. I'm not kidding. Right. That's actually a clip.
Okay, so here's the thing. I want to go back and piggyback off of you though, Alex, with what you said though. about what can they do and stuff like that. I thought this was better off as like a one-off, to be honest. I felt like the story was told. There was no need to go on ahead and do a sequel. But if they do, what's the story going to be? What's the story outline is going to be? Is it going to be like an Independence Day kind of feel where we now have to go ahead and save this part of our, this part of the world and take it to them, which I'm okay with because I don't like repetitiveness when it comes down to sequels. I like something different. Yeah. Everything, which is why I appreciate The Hangover 3 a lot more than The Hangover 2 because it's just a repetitive thing. So, I like the fact that if they do something different, I'm totally fine with it. Maybe an alien invasion in front of a home invasion would be actually a good story. Just an idea for Hollywood. But anyways, but still, I just thought that this was nice to actually have with a nice little bow on it and say, here you guys go. This is a free movie for you on Prime. Enjoy your time. Enjoy this. It's a great summer blockbuster type movie. But hey, if they want to give us more, depending on what the story layout is, give me more. But do I need it? Yeah. No.
Just don't make a sequel for the sake of making a sequel. Actually, make it meaningful. Like they shouldn't have done a sequel to Independence Day when the movie was fine, and yet you practically ruined Independence Day for people with the horrible sequel. I think this movie was entertaining, a lot better than I expected going in with the trailer, which I can appreciate. Because I was worried this was going to be bad, and it's going to be on another one of those hit lists for me for Amazon Prime because they haven't hit it out of the park at all. I think HBO Max has done more than that, and then Netflix and stuff. But I mean, it's an entertaining movie. If you're interested in watching it, I definitely recommend checking this out. It doesn't feel too long, doesn't overstay its welcome. It's entertaining. It's got comedic moments fit in, and it's not forced. And it's a really good Chris Pratt movie. There's not much stuff that he's done besides the Marvel stuff. And he's great in Moneyball, but this is a really good one that he's actually the leading guy in it, and hasn't been that many ones where he's led and actually done really well. So it's nice to see that it's a good movie though.
Okay. So my next question is, Alex, where can everybody follow you at if they want to go ahead and subscribe to your YouTube channel and social medias and things like that?
Yeah, so people can follow me on Instagram. I'm on Facebook too, or even Twitter. I'm mostly active on Twitter. I like to have conversations with people on Twitter. I wish I knew what my handle was off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure it's ATownAlex3. That's my Twitter handle. Okay. And all my links are in my channel, so go ahead and check that out if you guys want to hit me up. And I also want to say thank you so much for having me on here. This was an amazing opportunity, and I had such a great time. You guys
enjoyed having you. To be honest with you,
great.
Man.
Definitely,
you guys are awesome.
Yes, come back, man, because this has been a great. All right, so guys, here's the thing. If you like what you see here, give us a like, smash that share button. Tell us what you guys think below. Smash that comment button, subscribe button and everything. Do all that stuff. Another thing, too, is tomorrow, 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific Time. We are doing our last episode of our Loki after show. This is our spoiler discussion. So this is going to be our last episode because this is the season finale of Loki. I've been loving it so far, stuff like that. So go on ahead, check that out tomorrow night. And then after that, the day after, I'm going to have the Boston Badass Paige from the Movie Trivia Schmodown coming in doing a review for Ben Affleck's movie, The Town. And that's going to be at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific Time. Then on Thursday, we have probably some other stuff planned out. And then Friday, we're doing our Fast and the Furious 6 review. And that's actually going to be at the same time at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific Time. Go on and check that out. Also, too, if you guys want to get an audio-only podcast episode of what we do here, go on ahead. Go on to wherever you guys get your podcast at. And then, of course, if you guys want to donate to the page, just head on over to GoFundMe.com/Movie Lovers Podcast. Then, of course, if you guys want to follow me on Facebook, how do you guys do that? Just go on ahead and head over to Movie Lovers, TV Lovers Unite on Facebook, underneath the same brand name on Instagram and on Pinterest. And then, of course, you guys can follow me under Movie Lovers Unit on Twitter because they wouldn't let me have the E. So, therefore, it's just Movie Lovers Unit, which sounds really dirty. And then Of course, you guys can go ahead and email me at movieloversunite@gmail.com if you're a sponsor. If you're interested in being on my show, go ahead and check me out over there and email me over there. And then, of course, go on ahead, follow me on Stereo. We do some episodes from time to time on Stereo. And always until next time, guys, it's been real. It's been fun. I can't wait to do this again. And bye-bye.